Maria, first of all, Emmanuel Macron on his way to Moscow to meet with Vladimir Putin. I mean, it seems unclear why it's be up to the French and whether he would manage to de-escalate the tensions.
Well, Francina, that's a very good remark, because if there's anything we've learned in this Ukrainian crisis is that the only Western country that Russia cares about and wants to have bilateral talks is the United States. They have the weapons, they have the army, and they have the money. Nonetheless, Emmanuel Macron is hoping perhaps that is the French diplomatic touch that is going to de-escalate tensions. Yesterday, he gave an interview previewing this trip, saying that Russia is a great nation, that the Russians are a great people, but nonetheless, the concerns of all Europeans should be taken into account when it comes to the situation in Ukraine. He also says, by the way I look at this is not about Ukraine. This is Russia trying to shape and redefine the security borders of Europe. Now, in terms of this meeting today, Francine, what we know is that in this room, it will be Emmanuel Macron, Vladimir Putin, and their translators. No one else. Now, this makes some officials nervous in Brussels who believe perhaps at times Emmanuel Macron likes to go solo. They worry about perhaps remarks that are off script that kind of could deter that message that NATO is fully united behind this. But again, going back to your point, it is very unclear what the French can do at this point, because the one country that Russia cares about that really sets the limits in this conversation is the United States. And the question that the Russians are thinking constantly is, will the United States risk a war over Ukraine? That is where they play their game.
And over in the US, President Biden going to be speaking with meeting with his counterpart, German counterpart, Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who's been under pressure, being described as the invisible chancellor. Maria, what's going on?
Well, under pressure, and you can see that, by the way, already reflected in his opinion polls yesterday. Built on Sunday, putting another poll showing that his approval rating is slipping further. And now you're very right to point out that for many, both in D.C. but also here in Europe, Germany has been completely missing in action over the past 2 weeks. Now, yesterday, Olaf Scholz was also, again, in damage control, saying that a lot of this are misperceptions and some ideas that are not fully factual around German foreign policy. He did say, I'm going to America to meet with my American friends, and the reality is that we're all united behind NATO. He also said, and this really caught my eye, we are working full-time to avoid a war, but we do know that behind the scenes there's always the perennial question about what to do with Nord Stream 2, and of course the energy policy. Remember, we've been reporting at Bloomberg for weeks that the United States is working on a plan should Vladimir Putin cut gas, and what does the plan be for countries like Germany?